This week, a listener asks if it's too soon to know if it's too late. But first, we open up our chemistry sets to study one of the most elusive, divisive, and controversial concepts in both dating and long-term relationships. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the talking phase. Hello and welcome to the Talking Phase podcast. My name is Tom, and I am joined, as always, by my amazing and beautiful co-host, Pam.
Hello.
What's going on, Pam?
It has been a week here in Raleigh, and it has not been a very exciting week. But we have spent a lot of time watching one of our favorite reality TV shows. And I know that you love reality TV.
Yes.
I thought we could talk a little bit about Love is Blind because it came back and they have Love is Blind UK.
Thank God.
Listen, we can't get enough of this show. Love is Blind UK. The couples are so attractive. They go into these pods and they quote unquote date. And there is no way that they can talk about what they look like. So they have no idea what the person on the other side of the wall looks like. All they do is talk to a wall and the other person can't see them. And so none of these relationships are based on anything other than personality. And it is fascinating to watch.
I'm sure it is. But when they get together, and I know that I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but since it is Love is Blind UK, do they all have bad teeth?
No, these are the 15 or 20 or 30 people that have all the best dental work you've ever seen. And I'm not sure that stereotype is true or not, but in the case of Love is Blind, you get the most attractive people. Now, the US version, the people are not always that attractive, but the UK version, holy shit, no matter who you pick, you're really not losing in the looks department. But they don't know what they look like. They have no idea. So how do they know?
But they vetted them, at least as far as you can tell, right?
Yeah, there's been some back and forth, especially in the US version, about people going on there that are in relationships. And sometimes they don't vet them as well as they should. So Nikki and I are watching Love is Blind. And as a matter of fact, today is Nikki's 30th birthday. So
happy birthday, Nikki.
Yes, happy birthday, Nikki. And the fact that I have a 30-year-old is surreal to me. I cannot believe it. How is that even possible? I'm only 40 and I have a 30-year-old.
Right. I was about to call her a fossil and then I thought better of it.
Yeah, that was very good thinking on your part. Yeah. So, actually my birthday is also just passed. So I am more fossil than not fossil, I guess. I'm a little further over the double nickels mark, having turned 57 on Wednesday.
Happy birthday, Pam.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you I know you forgot all about, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's a big birthday week here. So I'm excited. We're going to spend a lot of time with friends and family and have dinner. Maybe you'll come to town and wish me a happy birthday in person. You just never know what might happen.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. What about you? How has your week been going, sir?
Oh, it has been, I'm not going to lie, this has been a pretty rough week for me. I'm going to say it was a boring weekend because I'm getting over COVID. So anybody out there, this is not a political conversation. We don't do politics on this show, but if you think that COVID is a hoax, suck it.
No kidding.
It is not a hoax. That is a bitch. I think I slept 19 hours one day this week. I think you can probably still hear it in my voice a little bit.
Yeah, I can definitely hear it.
I'm mostly over it, but yeah, I'm tired. I am tired. But there is one good thing that came out of COVID this week. So one of my favorite cookie recipe is chocolate chip oatmeal, and it calls for cinnamon in the recipe, and I didn't have any cinnamon, but I had hot tamales. And so I just dumped my hot tamales right in that recipe, stirred it all together, and I'm going to tell you right now, best cookies I've ever had in my life.
Were they big chunks still, or did they melt into the cookie?
Kind of a combination. So they were like a chewy cinnamon bite along with the oatmeal chocolate chip. So I don't, I'm not even, let me know, you guys, if you want the recipe,
They
but
don't want it. It
oh,
sounds horrible.
people with taste will love this. Next
What are you
time I come
saying? Are
out
you
to
saying
North
I don't
Carolina,
have taste?
evidently,
Oh,
next time I come out to North Carolina, we're going to make cookies, Pam.
all right. You know what they say? I have really great taste, but it's all in my mouth. That could be your saying.
Oh,
Oh, don't say that. I
no, I
don't like
don't
that.
think I
Doesn't work
will.
for me either. You
Well,
have great taste. I'm sure they're delicious.
I like to think so.
Nothing like a big, chunky, chewy cinnamon bite in my chocolate chip cookies with
Oh my
oatmeal
gosh.
too.
I'm telling you, it's the best thing. I don't know if I'll ever make another type of cookie,
Ever?
ever.
What about peanut butter?
I'm not a huge fan of, I love peanut butter, but not a big fan of peanut butter cookies for some reason.
I love those. We actually went to Crumbled Cookies this week. I've never been there before. Zach
Oh,
was on his way going back to college and took him to dinner the last night with my dad and his girlfriend. And afterwards, we went over to Crumbled Cookies and
love that.
experienced that for the first time. They should be marketing and advertising through me because I could talk about Crumbled Cookies for a long time. Like I took like a little piece from the box on the way home and I was like, I'm just going to taste it. And yeah, that was that. Like that freaking cookie get in my face. Like I ate the whole thing on the way home. And
Yeah, I
then
agree.
they're so good. Last night, I had brought one home for Nikki, and she was home last night. And I went into the kitchen to get her cookie, and Zach had bought two and saved the chocolate one with the icing for the next day. But he went back to school and he forgot to eat that
Oh,
cookie. And I
oh,
was like,
dumbass.
oh my God, I was so excited. So we cut them in half and put them in the microwave, and we each had half of her sugar cookie and half of that chocolate cookie. And I swear,
That's all you
man,
need.
if they're in my house, they're going to be in my mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are so good. So it's
Well, with
been a heck
that,
of a birthday week.
yeah, sounds like a great birthday week. Happy
Yeah.
birthday to Pam. Happy birthday to Nikki.
And Zach, have a good senior year in college. He won't hear that, but I'll tell him you wished him a great senior year. It's his last year in college. So my life has been crazy this week.
Wow, it's my life has been crazy just because I've been laying in bed.
I know that's sad.
So I'll tell you what. Before we get to the show, Mr. Nichols, what do you think about cookies with hot tamales? Are you in?
Cookies with hot tamales. This sounds very similar to the popcorn with hot
Yes, he does
tamales that
that
you
too.
mentioned.
I do that. Yes.
So Tom and I got to hang out last week out in Nashville. How I didn't get sick, candidly, is beyond me. Because he and I were around all the same people. And I avoided the plague. So thank you for keeping it, Tom. Really appreciate it.
Congratulations, Brian.
Yes, thank God. But also, I'm curious about the hot tamales. Like, I like cinnamon, I really do, but I just don't know how I would do with the texture of the gummy.
Yeah, that's me too. Yuck.
That's the one thing I'm a little iffy on. Now here's a throwback from an old TPP episode. If it was burnt cookies, maybe that would make the difference because now you're having the super burnt crunchy with the squish weirdness. I don't know. Could work.
Next batch, I'll purposely burn one of the cookies for old time's sake.
We need to
Give
get
it a
together
whirl.
with Brian and have a cookie party.
There we go.
Nobody wants to do that, I guess. I'm going to have a cookie party over here. I'm going to go to Crumble Cookies and eat them all by myself.
Yeah.
I'll suggest your
Crumble
recipe,
Cookies.
though. I'll tell them to think about adding that to the menu.
They had a cinnamon cookie once because they do a different cookie every month or something like that.
I think
right?
they change them a lot.
And I was there one time, and I think it must have been near Valentine's Day, and they had like cinnamon, like a red heart cookie with cinnamon, and needless to say, that was my favorite.
Of course it was.
So, all right. Well, with that, should we jump right in?
Yes, let's jump.
All right. So today, the topic that I would like to talk about first, if it's okay with you, Pam.
We'll think about it.
Before I get into it, I want to make sure everybody remembers a few episodes ago, I promised we weren't going to get back into my list, even though everybody on TikTok still brings my list. I mean, yes, I talked about it a lot on there a while back, but people are still commenting like crazy on that, which is fine. But we're not going to talk about my list. We're going to talk about one of the items on my list. not because it was on my list. It just happens to be there.
Maybe because it was on your list.
No. We're talking about this because you and I had a conversation about this, and we're going to talk about chemistry and how important is chemistry. And again, this isn't just because here's a spoiler alert for those who haven't watched TikTok or read my list. Chemistry is the last item on my list and the most important item on my list, in my personal opinion. And so I want to talk about chemistry. So Pam, what do you think? Everybody's talked about chemistry, right? We have chemistry
since we were kids,
right?
We were, teenagers.
But what the hell is it?
God, I think for a long time I thought it was an endorphin, and I'm not even sure that it's not an endorphin. It's something that is triggered in your brain. It could be the way that somebody smells. It could be the way somebody looks. It can be, I think it can be almost anything about somebody. And sometimes there's not even a good reason for chemistry. You can find yourself really attracted to somebody and be like, holy shit, this person is not my type. There's not one thing that about this person that I'm like, oh my God, they're hot. I think that chemistry is probably one of the things that is the hardest to put your finger on. Where does it come from and why does it happen? Look at Love is Blind. I just talked about that. These are people who are feeling this very real physical chemistry and they haven't even seen each other yet. And most of us think chemistry is based on physical looks.
Okay, well, let's back that up. I didn't even think about your Love is Blind show. So they have all this great chemistry, right? They're talking to a wall or whatever you said, right?
Right. They're talking to each other through a wall.
Right, but they can't see each other. So they're just talking. They feel this great chemistry. They're like, oh my gosh, I think I really like this person, or love, if we're going to go with the name of the show.
They all think they love each other. Yes, they propose. Before they see it. Yeah, on the show, they literally propose through the wall and the person accepts and then they meet and then the man puts a ring on the woman's finger, asks her to marry him.
Through the wall?
Yep. Well, no, he proposes. He gets down on one knee on his side of the wall, tells her what he's doing. She accepts through the wall. And then they have a reveal later on in the show where they see each other for the first time. And then he proposes again in person. And I see your face. If you're on YouTube, you see Tom's face. He's full of disbelief.
It sounds like a Porky's proposal.
I'm telling you guys, I totally believe it because I'm not saying that these relationships all work out because let's face it, they're not asking all of the hard questions and they haven't had to live together yet or any of that.
And they haven't been on a date and they haven't had any. No. I mean, they've had nothing.
Are they not dates though? Are they not dating?
I don't know. Are they call it dating.
So they're dating multiple people and they're narrowing it down to the person that they fall in love with. And then they're only talking to that person. But they call it dating. So when they meet in real life, these groups go on to a hotel and they meet in real life, all these couples, and they've dated other people that are on the show that they're meeting for the first time face to face. And a lot of times you can tell that either the man or the woman is attracted more physically, feeling more physical chemistry towards somebody that they did not choose. They didn't have as much in common or they didn't feel the romance or they weren't aligned, but physically they're more their type and therein lies the fun of the show.
Okay. All right. So here's my question though. First off, good for them, I guess.
You need to watch one season so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll have to do that. That other show I listened to, Small Town Murder, James and Jimmy, their favorite reality show is Love After Lockup. They always talk.
I've not seen that.
Oh, I bet you're going to put it on your list though.
No, I watch plenty of reality TV. Well, we love it.
Okay, so but here's the thing though. So these people, they've fallen in love, they've proposed, holy shit, and they haven't seen each other. So there's chemistry.
Yes, 100%.
But then, like you just said, they see each other and they see other people at the hotel and they go, oh shit, I have better chemistry with that other person. So my question is, can you make up chemistry? Can you create chemistry from thin air? Can you conjure it up if it isn't there to begin with? And then secondly, all of a sudden I have chemistry. We've talked through the wall for however many episodes and we're best friends and I know we're meant to be. And then somehow 5 minutes later and they're in their hotel going, well, yeah, fuck that.
Well, that has happened. But
So was
something
that really chemistry?
But something you said was that they see somebody else that they didn't choose and they feel more chemistry with that person. And that hasn't happened well, I mean, I can't say it hasn't happened, but it's not the norm. It's more their physical type, but they are feeling chemistry with the person that they're with. But I think there's a big difference between being physically attracted to somebody and having chemistry. I don't think chemistry is automatic all of the time. And
clearly,
certainly not on a show like this. I think the fact that it came out on a week that we are talking about chemistry is a great coincidence, because it is an experiment, that's what they call it, in deciding whether you can have a relationship without having physical chemistry. You can have other types, brain, sense of humor, things in common, but not physical.
Well, I think about this, and let's take it even one step further from this Love is Blind show.
Okay.
What about arranged marriages? Because I think I've mentioned it here on this show. I know you and I've talked about it. Where I used to travel a lot to the Philippines, and I had a friend there who's from India,
Right.
and he was in an arranged marriage. And he and I, we worked together every day for weeks on end. And so, we'd go to dinner at night and stuff. And I was talking to him. I said, well, that's got to be, I mean, to him, it's normal, right?
Right.
But to me, it's like, holy crap, this is
hell no.
I need to talk about this with him.
Right.
And we were having a conversation, and I said, well, I mean, do you even love her?
Mm.
And they'd been married at this point for like 8 years.
Is that the same thing? Physical chemistry and love?
I don't know. But I said to him, do you even love her? And he said, I do now. And I said, well, tell me how that worked. And he walked me through that. And they had actually had a chance to meet. It wasn't like, what is it? Love at Marriage at First Sight, or whatever that other reality show is that I've never seen.
Love at First Sight.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Love is Blind.
No. That's the one you're talking about.
Oh, Married at First Sight.
Okay. Yeah, that. But no, he had met her once or twice prior. They'd never been alone. They'd never been on a date.
Right.
But they had at least said, okay, yes, I'm okay with her and she's okay with him. And so they got married. And the first time they were ever alone together was after their wedding.
No pressure.
Right, exactly. And no divorce allowed. So you better put up with a lot of shit on both sides, probably.
Right.
More on hers, unfortunately.
Right.
But he said it took 6 months before they even felt like they were friends.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to my question. Can you conjure it up? Can you create chemistry?
I don't think so. And I think in an arranged marriage, which we have kind of compared that to Love is Blind, we're like, this is similar to an arranged marriage. I don't think you can conjure it up. I think you sacrifice it. I think you sacrifice that intense physical chemistry that you feel for somebody that you're just starting to get to know, or that you've been attracted to, or whatever drew you to them. I think when it's an arranged marriage or something like that, that you forego physical chemistry to marry your best friend, or at least to marry somebody that will eventually become your best friend, because you're in it.
So if you're on a date with someone,
right?
So forget the arranged marriage thing. We're back here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not talking, and we're not in the UK, so we're not talking through a wall.
Okay.
We're on a regular old date.
America. Okay.
Yeah, America.
Sorry. Sometimes it just slips out.
America.
Great hair.
That's great.
We have dating apps. They're great.
Yes. So we're sitting in America on a date, and there's no chemistry. Is that it?
Well, I think that depends on the person. If you're asking me, I have sat across from many people that I did not feel physical attraction to, and I equate that with chemistry. I think most people do. And I have tried to keep seeing that person, I guess, more like an arranged marriage. I've kind of like tried to convince myself that chemistry is something that can grow, or that you can find other things if that's not there, that are just, people say it all the time. Oh, you know what? I didn't like him at first. He grew on me. We were friends. I didn't see it. Our personalities were different. I just never could have imagined. And then here they are, they're in a relationship. And sometimes I think that they have kind of gotten past that chemistry. So can you create it? I think maybe you can create it if you're willing to work hard and do the time, and maybe it doesn't happen. But I think it can be created. What do you think, though? Do you think that if you sit down with somebody for a first date, and it's probably from a dating app, and you sit down and you see them, do you think that you can tell whether you're going to be attracted or feel chemistry with that person right away?
Yes, I do believe that. In fact, a bunch of people made fun of me. In one of my TikToks, I talked about how during the talking phase, I had great text chemistry with someone.
Right.
And
I remember
people
that.
were laughing, going, "Text chemistry, what is that?" But
I
I think,
felt that. I know what that is.
yeah, I think it's a real thing.
It definitely is.
And it's not all the chemistry,
Right.
obviously, but that I think that's a part of it. I
If
mean,
it skews
especially
your
in
heart up.
today's, yeah, well, in today's world, a lot of our communication is via text. So if someone is a shitty texter, um, well, that's probably not going to be someone for me. Which again, someone's on out there right now going, "God, he's such a shallow prick."
No, but you're not. I agree with you 100%. I think that banter for me, witty banter in the texting, talking phase, like if you're just asking me like, how was your day? How's the weather? Like really doldrum questions. If you don't have the ability to have some banter with me, it's very hard to hold my interest in the beginning.
Yeah,
So I
me
believe in
too.
text chemistry.
Well, and so I think that chemistry is like critically important. I mean, personally. Now, you mentioned people that say that we were just friends at first and then it just grew into something different. I wonder if, okay, let me ask this a different way. I think that chemistry ebbs over time. It reduces. I don't know what the right word is. If they're endorphins or whatever a chemistry really is,
That beginning stage, the butterflies.
yeah, over time it's reduced. I think everybody agrees with that, right? We're not going to argue about that.
I can't argue with that.
Okay. So the question is, so if these people that they started out just as friends
Right?
without chemistry, but then now they're together and they're happy as could be, is there just two different paths to get to that same point in a relationship?
I always think of it as a switch that flips. Like you can be sitting there with somebody you've been friends with for months. And this happened to me. I was dating somebody and we had been friends for months and we had been out to lunch, I don't know, 5, 6 times. And I thought he was fantastic. Great, great guy. I didn't know if we were a good match. We didn't have everything in common. We had a lot of roadblocks. And so I just kind of talked myself out of letting it get into a more serious dating situation. And about 3 or 4 months into this friendship slash lunch dates, maybe there was a little kissing here and then. I was really trying to feel that chemistry and I hadn't. And then one night we were at a party and there was a lot of people sitting around and he put his arm around me and was just rubbing my shoulder. And it was like a switch had flipped. Like all of a sudden, I saw him completely differently. And I was like, you know what? I need to give this a bigger try.
You got the chemistry.
I felt it. Yeah. I mean, and I was really I was super surprised by it.
Did he feel it before then?
He had felt it the whole time, I
Okay.
think. I was, I wasn't really looking for a relationship. We were good friends. I didn't want to screw that up. We're in the same group together. But yeah, after that we did date. And was there chemistry? Not the kind of chemistry you hope for.
Right.
But I gave it a really good shot because you know what? Sometimes I try to believe, or I really do believe that sometimes it just happens when you least expect it. And I don't want to kick the guy out for eating. What is it? Kick him out of the bed for eating crackers. Just I can't remember
Well,
the
hopefully you
saying.
felt the chemistry before you got him into bed.
Right. Well, no comment. Let's just say chemistry. I believe chemistry is really important. I still believe even after that experience that it can grow. I just think it's a lot bigger hill to climb.
Okay, so I have one last question about this, and obviously we could talk for hours about chemistry, but so there's this one, I wish I could remember her username on TikTok, but there's some woman on TikTok that has been watching my videos about my list. She never made it all the way to the chemistry video, which
Right.
is the final video in the series. So she just made it, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos in and started bitching about how complicated I make it, and that all you need is just find someone you find attractive and that you vibe with. That's all you need. Now I call bullshit. I think that's exactly what I thought in my 20s. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, sometimes I do think that your list is a little more complicated than it needs to be.
Well, we're not here to talk about the list. I just want to
Sometimes
find
I
out about
do.
her
Okay.
attitude.
Sometimes I think that you can really vibe with somebody and really feel a tremendous amount of chemistry with them, and they are still a very shitty pick. So I disagree with her wholeheartedly. I think that if you try to have a relationship with somebody based just on physical chemistry, you're fighting a losing battle. You need to have all of those other things aligned. But I think you can have great sex with somebody that you just have a lot of physical chemistry with. I think that like this is the key to people meeting on a dating app, and then, on the first or second date, they're going home together because like, he's hot, she's hot. Of course, this is going to be a great relationship because they're both hot. It's not going to be a great relationship, but it's going to be some hot sex. So, like chemistry can get you pretty far, but it ain't going to get you all the way.
I see, and I agree 100%. And so I was arguing with her a little bit on TikTok about that. I'm just like, look, what are you, 20? Because
Right.
in my 20s, sure, as long as she's hot and we vibe, that's all you need.
So do you think she's having better sex than us? Not together, but like, do you think her sex life is better than our sex life? Because
I don't know. I
she's
don't even
hooking up
know
with
anything
people
about her.
well, I mean, I was just asking you more in a broad statement. Like, do you think that if you do not feel physical chemistry with somebody, can you still have good sex with that person?
If you don't feel physical chemistry?
Yeah. Like, let's say you really like them as a person, you're having a great time, you have a lot in common, but you just don't feel the chemistry. But somehow you wind up, you're back at your house, you're naked, you're in bed. Can it still be great sex without chemistry?
I am so the wrong guy to ask that.
Well, you're the only guy here.
Well, I know, but like anybody who's listened to the show, I grew up very Mormon, very conservative. As the kids say, my body count is pretty damn low. So the idea of just meeting someone and going out and having sex within a date or two, that's a very foreign concept to me.
All right.
So
So
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Brian, do you have a very short opinion on this where you have hooked up with somebody because the chemistry was not there, but you really like them as a person and the sex was still magnificent?
Oh, I'm like right there with Tom. I started dating my wife my freshman year of college. So yeah.
All right, well, let me speak to it. I have a bigger body count than you guys. My 20s were fun. I have never, ever gone to bed with somebody that I did not feel chemistry with, like really good sexual chemistry, and had that experience lead to me going, wow, that was amazing. I don't think you can have good sex with somebody without chemistry, but I do think that you can have good sex with somebody that you have a ton of chemistry with, even if you don't have anything else.
Okay, so here's my question to you, Pam, as the resident
All I do is answer questions.
sex therapist here, apparently.
Well,
so
no.
you go to bed with someone where you don't have the chemistry, which, by the way, seems a very foreign concept. Are you there to try and invent it, or are you just horny?
No, I think you're just hopeful. I mean, I just told you the story about, this one experience that I had where I took it all the way, hoping that since I wasn't feeling the type of physical chemistry that I had felt in the past, I was trying to tell myself that I'm a bigger person because I'm willing to take it to that level and see if it shows up.
See if we can conjure up some damn chemistry.
I guess that's kind of one of
fuck
your
some chemistry into this relationship, people.
yes, and I was like, please God, let that work. And we gave it the old college try a couple of times, and we're still friends, and it didn't work out for us. But like, I am still a big believer that even if you don't feel it in the beginning, it can grow. No pun intended.
That's what she said.
I knew we were both there.
Damn it, beat me to it.
That's also what she said.
Dirty minds think alike.
She sure did.
I just feel like chemistry is very important, but I think I know quite a few people who are in good relationships who it didn't start out being a lot of chemistry. It grew.
I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to close this topic out because we could talk about this for hours, but I am hopeful that everybody listening will make comments on every podcast platform and YouTube platform, everything, because I am so curious to hear what other people have to say about this. Because
Let us know.
Yeah.
I will even make a clip out of this portion of the video, and I will ask people to tell us, do you need physical chemistry to have a good relationship, or do you just need it to have good sex?
Perfect.
Or what is a better question? Do you have a better question?
No, that's about where I was going. So I think
Okay.
that's exactly right. I'm just curious what other people think about chemistry. And to whatever that lady's name is that I've been fighting with on TikTok, you need more than chemistry and good vibes to build a long-term relationship.
100%.
So
100%.
with
But
that,
you can have a good 6 months.
right, exactly. Yeah, long-term
sometimes there's nothing wrong with having a good 6 months.
Well, if that's what you're both looking for.
Maybe a good 6 minutes. It's all in how you look at it. Gosh, moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along.
She didn't say 6 seconds.
6 inches, 6 minutes, 6 seconds, 6.
Right.
That's the national average.
Yeah, I used to be. Never mind. We're going to leave it at that.
Oh, damn it! Tell me later.
Yeah. Well, okay. Should we move on to a listener email?
I don't know. I was listening for it to come in. Is it here yet?
You've got mail.
There it is.
Ask and you shall receive.
Let's see what we got today. Dear Pam and Tom, I have been dating my boyfriend for about a year. He's 32 and I'm 31, and things have been going really smoothly. We get along great and we have so much in common. We rarely disagree. I think it's pretty perfect. I love the word perfect all the time.
Pretty perfect.
I'm ready for the next step, and I think we should move in together. But every time I bring it up, he says it's too soon. We both pay really high rent and spend most nights together, so it doesn't make any sense. And therein, I think it's not so perfect. My biological clock is ticking. He always says he wants to get married, quote unquote, someday and have kids too. I don't want to scare him off by bringing up moving in too often. And I'm terrified to broach getting engaged or married since he's not even ready to cohabitate. I don't want to waste my time if he's just stringing me along, but I love him. And if I knew he'd be ready soon, I would wait. How can I tell? That's how she signed it. How can I tell? And the first thing I would say is this is not perfect.
Yeah. First things first, pretty perfect is a pretty crappy description as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Well, she's too worried about scaring him off. There's a lot of non-perfect things in there. But here's my first thought. And as a guy, I'm the first to admit that I'm stupid when it comes to this shit. But I don't think that being 30, or what does she say she is? 31?
She's 31.
Seems a bit early to be like terrified of the bio clock, right? Or whatever she called it.
No, I disagree. I disagree.
I disagree as well.
Okay.
Wow. That's 2-1, and it's never 2-1 on my side, you guys. So I'm going to take this win, but I'm going to say as a woman, my daughter is going to be, she's just turning 30 today. Duh. And, I don't think she has baby envy yet, but we talk about the fact that when nowadays, if you're 35, they consider that a geriatric pregnancy.
Yep.
And I had a geriatric pregnancy. I got pregnant with Zach when I was 47. Yeah, no, maybe I was 36 when I got pregnant. And it was a big freaking deal. So if she's 31 and he's not ready to even talk about moving in together, by the time he's ready to move in, she's 33. By the time they're engaged, she's 34, 35. Factor in a year engagement. Is she trying to get pregnant for the first time at 37?
And I'll just add in my 2 cents here, because also it doesn't take into factors any issues with conceiving, because that's and that was something that my wife and I had to face too. We had been trying for 3-4 years, and it wasn't until we moved out of Philadelphia and got rid of a lot of those environmental factors that we saw within 6 months, literally, of moving out of the city, we had conceived. And it's that was huge for us, but it took years, and we were in our 30s when we had our daughter for the first time.
Is
So
that when you guys found chemistry?
No, they
or
needed
chemical.
it to be quieter. I think they needed some peace or something so they could relax. But I had my
Philadelphia is for brotherly love.
Not motherly love. Yes.
Listen, that's what happened. I'm glad that it worked out for her. For me, I needed to have surgery to get pregnant the first time. Now, I was in my 20s when I got pregnant the first time, but still, I could have tried for 10 years and not gotten pregnant. So that's exactly what Brian was saying. So yes, she has every reason to be worried. No relationship is perfect, or even pretty perfect if you can't have a conversation about, when do you think you're going to be ready for this?
Okay, well, I stand corrected on the not being worried part. So
Okay.
let's not get everybody yelling at me in the comments on that one. Sorry.
Okay. We'll let that go.
Okay, but here's the next one then. She says she wants to move in together. And then she says, I want to move in together because the rent's too high for the
Right.
two places, which, okay, financially, obviously, two people moving into one place is going to be cheaper. There's no question there. But then she says that's when her biological clock is ticking. The bottom line, guys, when I grew up, you dated, you got engaged, you got married, then you moved in together, then you had children. Nowadays, it's completely reverse. I mean,
Yeah.
you meet, you date, you move in, then you have kids, then you get married is often the way it goes.
No, you're
There's
right.
no requirement. I mean, she's not sterile. I mean, at least not that she knows of right now. She could have kids right now. So the moving in together doesn't have to be the next step.
Oh.
So she could talk to him about having kids. But she's too worried about it. She doesn't want to scare him off. That's some bullshit right there,
Yeah,
right?
but I think that, like, if he's not ready to move in with her, I don't think this is the best possible time to go, hey, what about kids? I mean, like, I know things don't have to go in a certain order, but I don't think there's any universe where this guy is ready to have kids and he's not ready to live with her. I think that, like, they've been together a year. He's hedging his bets.
But if
Hedging
they
his bets.
if they're both in their early 30s, and like, I don't know, is it not time to start thinking about what you're doing at that point?
I think so.
Because I see a lot of my peers, like, and your daughter probably sees this because we're probably around the same age. Like,
right.
Do you see a lot of, like, in your 30s now, that seems to be the, okay, like, it's time to shit or get off the pot kind of situation.
I agree.
And I see a lot of my friends who are still going forward, like, in this single life. And a lot of them are starting to get very borderline depressed, I think, because they're starting to realize that, like, that is exactly the word, panicked. Because I think that biological clock all of a sudden does hit. And it's like, oh God, what have I been doing for the past 10 years? Like,
right. And
then a lot of regret. I hear a lot of regret from folks too. Like, was it worth it? Like, some folks just when they, like, to your point, Pam, they just went crazy. And that's, now they're looking back, like, was that short-term gratification worth? Now I'm in my, mid 30s and I might not be able to have a family of my own. Like, was it worth it? And unfortunately, there's nothing they can really do to fix it. And I think that's the part too that's so heartbreaking, because a lot of it could have been, just if and priorities, right? I think, is that the thing? Like,
I think
our
it's a
priorities are off?
thing. I think that, we've talked about dating apps multiple times on the podcast, and I think that, like, what's happening when I said hedging his bets, I mean, like, they've been dating a year, they're not living together. Something is in the way of him moving forward. So is it not possible that he just doesn't think she's the one?
See, I think that's some bullshit right there, because a year is not that long, guys.
A year is in your early 30s is a year before you, like, what if they moved in together and they lived together for 2 years and it doesn't work out, and then they're single again at 34 and 35, then she's kind of fucked.
Well, what if they move in at 9 months and they live together for 2 years and then they're fucked too? I mean, the bottom line is that 1 year is not an awfully long time to be in a relationship and be saying, why aren't you in bed? Why aren't you moving in together? I mean,
I think it depends on where you are in life. I think at our age, it's not a big deal at all. But I think that if you are just starting out in life and you have been in a relationship for a year and you're in your 30s and you still want the picket fence and the babies and the marriage and all of that stuff, I think that's a whole different ball game than
So
people
you
that are
think that
divorced
when
and
you're
don't want.
younger, you
What?
should spend as a younger person, she should spend less time getting to know someone than if she's in her 50s?
No, I didn't say lest I'm getting to know somebody, but I don't think that if he's not willing to talk about living together after 12 months of being in a relationship, I think that that's a red flag. I mean, at least discuss it. Like she said, if he was willing to give her a time frame, she'd be fine with that. Like, what if he says, like, listen, in 6 months, I'm open to that.
Okay. No, but I'm still stuck on what you said though. You said because they're younger, 12 months is a long time, but if they were our age, it wouldn't be that long.
I said when I said they're younger, I mean not in their 20s. If they're in their 20s, I don't think a year is a long time. But I think that in your 30s, a year is a long time to not be able to talk to your significant other about moving in together, to have that conversation.
No, I agree. I agree. They should be having the conversation, but it sounded like you were saying at a year they should damn well be living together.
No, I'm saying it's fine if they are, but they need to be comfortable that they're, I have this saying like you need to be on the same chapter of the book that you're reading. If she's on chapter 10 and he's on chapter 2, then something's not working for them. And so my advice to her would be to make sure that he wants the same things that she wants. And if she has a timeline at 31 where she would like to be living with him by the time she's 32 or 33, he needs to know it. And if he's not ready for that, then she needs to think about how pretty perfect things really are.
Well, I agree 100%. But, I go back to, and I think I may have told this story here when I was in, would have been third grade, Mrs. Perkins' class at Hannah Holbrook Elementary. There was a girl in our class. I won't mention her name because it's embarrassing for her.
You did last episode.
No, I never said her name. The one that couldn't read fast.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay, well, she couldn't read very fast, and so when the teacher,
I thought you were going to say your wife. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about your first grade wife.
Oh no. The teacher would have us each read a paragraph or whatever, going around the room, and this poor girl, she just had a hard time reading, and so it was a very embarrassing moment for her, and I remember being embarrassed for her. And so she was a slow reader. So you just said, Pam, they need to be reading the same chapter in the book. Well, what if he's just a slow reader? They're in the same book. He's getting there. How long do you give it until maybe she's done with the book and she's ready to go?
I don't know. I can look back on, I've been married twice. My first husband waited for me a lot longer than I probably would have waited. And my second marriage, because I was older, I was 35 or 36 when we met. We moved in together, I think probably right around 9 months, and got engaged really quickly and got married because I knew that I wanted to have another child and I didn't want to be much older when I had him. My kids are 9 years apart and I love their age difference, but I'm a big believer in if you're at a point in your life where you're really ready and you've met the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with and settle down with, and the clock is ticking, that you need to know that your significant other, that your boyfriend, your girlfriend wants the same things that you do on the same timeline that you want them.
Yeah. I guess for me, and the only advice that I'm going to give this lady, and I apologize if it sounds harsh, but like I said, I'm still getting over COVID. So maybe my COVID brain is not working real well. But the fact is, you don't go shopping when you're hungry. And so if you're calling this relationship pretty perfect, but you're scared to talk to him, wake up. It's not very perfect. And if you are staying in this relationship just because you hope that he someday will come around and let you do what you're wanting to do in life, well, that's shopping when you're hungry. You're staying there just to have a baby. It sounds like to me.
I didn't get that impression. I just think that at 31, she's ready for the next step, the next phase of her life. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that she has met the person that she thinks is the one. I don't think that he's giving her back the same energy. And I hope that he will. I hope that she will talk to him and that he will, she needs courage to have that talk. I did have baby fever, so I am guilty of that. She's younger than I was when I had it the second time around. You know what? I'll be honest. I had it both times around. With my
That's never
first
happened to me.
husband. Well, I think it's a female thing. I mean, all of your friends are getting pregnant and having babies, and you're ready too. And so I did have baby fever both times, and I, clearly married the wrong men to stay married to. So you could be giving sound advice that she needs to really think about whether he's going to be the partner that she wants. But the first step is just sitting down and, for a change, having a conversation and making sure that you guys both want the same thing.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it comes down to you have to decide whatever her name is. I don't think we got a name.
She gave us how can I tell is how she
how
said
can
it.
I tell? So here's the deal. If you're ready to throw away something that you call pretty perfect, well, get out or have a strong, hard conversation with him. If you're not ready, well, then you got to wait it out. I mean, there's really no other option, right? You have to decide how perfect you think it really is.
And have a timeline, because no matter how perfect he is, if you are ready for the next part of your life, and if you have decided that you definitely want to have children, don't wind up waiting 10 years for him to get where you are, because you could wind up 41 and starting over.
Right. Because as I have learned, you're already getting close to that geriatric pregnancy thing.
Well, it sucks, but it's true.
What
And
comes
there's a
after
lot more
geriatrics?
risks. There's a lot more risks the older you get too.
Mortician? I don't know.
So dramatic over there today with your
I just
COVID
don't know
thing.
is there something after geriatric?
No, I think it literally, and I think a lot of my friends have had geriatric pregnancies, and I have also. It just means that they're watching you more carefully. You're at a higher risk for having, birth defects, downs, all sorts of things. So she has a good reason to want to not wait around if he's not going to get on the same chapter that she's on.
Yeah. And by the way, I Googled geriatric pregnancy while we've been on, and it says, while some healthcare providers prefer the term advanced maternal age, others have criticized the term for implying that there is a biological clock that women need to consider. So,
Okay,
whatever.
There is.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Whatever. So when it comes back to her, I tell him how you feel, tell him what you want. And if he looks terrified, maybe give that a real good, hard thinking.
Agreed.
I feel like I had COVID. Give it a hard thinking. I don't even know what a hard thinking is. And if you're listening to us today, even though we may not be in top form, we love your emails. So please keep sending them. I read every single one of them. I send the ones that I like the best over to Tom. And then we pick the ones to read on the show, and maybe we help and maybe we don't, but hopefully we don't do any harm. We are not experts here, but we have a ton of life experience, even when it comes to geriatric pregnancies and no physical chemistry. So if you'd like to email us anything, asking for advice, tell us what you think about today's show or any of our shows. It is talkingphase@gmail.com, talkingphase@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Please send them in. I promise to read them.
That's fantastic. And thanks, Pam, for teaching me some stuff today. And thanks everybody out there for listening. Thank you, Brian, as always, for being an amazing producer. For everybody out there, please rate and review our show wherever you're listening right now, whether that's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or any of the other 50 obscure podcast apps that are out there. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and tell us how you feel about it. And also tell us how you feel about chemistry. That one is seriously a mind-boggling concept for me. And then make sure you share this podcast with your friends and family. I think there are a lot of people out there who would have get a kick out of listening to two old people talk. One old person and Pam. Sorry.
I'm older than you. That doesn't work anymore.
She's only 40, Tom. Come on.
Damn it. Right. You can't say that when I'm older.
Pam is now older than me.
Yes.
But if you're not aware of this, if you're not following us, you'll know now that new episodes come out every single Friday at 8 a.m. again, unless there's a technical issue or I screw it up. And be sure to follow us, not just here or wherever you're hearing this, but follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And with that, until next Friday, this is Pam and Tom signing off.
Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month, year, and happy birthday, Nikki.
Happy birthday.